Can you indulge me for a minute? Is it possible? I'd like to thank, there's a lot of people to thank. Can I do it really quickly?
Go for it.
So I'd like to thank a bunch of people that are here. So I'm going to ask them to stand, but can you hold up your applause until they all stand? I'm going to try to do it quickly, okay? First, Roberta's Inner Circle, Suzanne Koga, Joan Martin, James Whitmore, and their partners, husbands, and wives. If you guys can all stand, please. We really had to go through a lot because the film started so well and then the pandemic hit and we had to adjust, and they supported me every step of the way. I'd like to thank all the folks that helped me make the film. So my wife, Earthia Dinsey Flores, who was a massive part of producing this film. Martine Perna of Antibalas, who did the film score. Martine. Thomas Similo, who brought me this project, is somewhere here, and please thank him. Wherever you are, Thomas, we love you, Thomas. Then there is Caitlin Stone. She just, I don't even know what to say, because I think that she doesn't need a picture of me in her room because I'm burnt, my face and voice are burned into her brain for all my calls to her. And then there's Michael Tyner. Where are you, Mike? I love this man. I mean, Mike was with me in the trenches all the way. Right, Big Mike? Big Mike, Big Mike. And then I just really quickly, I'd like to thank some of the participants that are here. The wonderful Jason King and just the beautiful Bill Eaton. You guys really, really made a huge, what a contribution. I think that's the only participants. And if I missed anybody, Joan Loader, where are you? Yes. She was the very first person we filmed, besides Roberta. Thank you, Joan. Great to see you. Beautiful person as well. So now we can go.
We can go. I mean, you speak about all the people that participated, right? When you say, hey, I'm making a film about Roberta Flack, how do people react? What do they say? What do they do?
You know, it's interesting. You know, I've made films about The Clash, Johnny Cash, Frank, a bunch of kind of these American archetypes, and not American archetypes, but like icons. But Roberta Flack, I mean, it was like, where do I sign up? What can I do? And just the amount of love, which is such a reflection of who she is as an artist and what she's contributed to the world, that people were so eager to provide their generosity. And I mean, we got it from everywhere. So many people contributed, whether, with their time, with their work, of course. And of course, people were stunned that there had never been really a project like this at this level ever made. So they really wanted to do what they could to make it happen.
The film's heavily archival, right?
Yes.
That's a ton of work.
Yes.
A ton of
Caitlin Stone.
Teamwork, I'd imagine. Yeah. Here?
I put her through her paces.
I want to hear about it.
Well, I'm going to ask you to indulge me again. So this project was one of those, as a filmmaker, you come to a project yourself or a project finds you. And this project found me through Thomas Similo. I was making a film about another musician named Ani DeFranco, and Thomas took me out to lunch and said, do you like Roberta Flack? Now, my mother passed while I was making this film, and so did Mike's mother as well. But my parents were immigrants, so I remember my mom dancing and singing to Roberta Flack's music, even though she couldn't speak English. And that was really infused in my mind and my heart. So when Thomas said, would you be interested in doing this project? Joan and Suzanne are really interested in meeting you. Roberta wants to meet you. I said, sure. So there was one condition. Joan calls me and says, Roberta wants you to come and talk to her, but there's going to be something that she wants you to do. So I go there. Joan had prepared all these old pulled out these old recordings, you know, from like first take, 69, 1970. And Roberta wanted me to sit there and listen to music with her. Just like this, like I'm gonna do with my daughter. She held my hand and she sang for 2 hours. You remember that, Joan? If you're wherever you are, I can't see you. And I got up to leave. I said, if nothing else happens, this has been fucking remarkable. And I just had a private concert, one of the greatest artists of all time, singing to me. And I got up to leave, and she just looked at me. She said, "You're the person to make this film." And that was it. And then we were off and running. We were with her at the Grammys in 2020, in early 2020, and of course, everyone knows what's coming, the pandemic. And then that's what made me shift the project to, I always was gonna have the film be completely in Roberta's voice, in word and song. But I had to really change gears, because if I was gonna make this film, with all the participants in her life, from Bill Eaton to even Jason King to, you know, Buddy to everyone, it was gonna be hard to film them in person. So I had to come up with, you know, well, what is the thing? So I just use it as more of a creative response. Let's make it even more focused on Roberta completely from start to finish, and just mine every piece of archival that we could find of her. And, you know, we found everything. You know, and it was less than we thought was out there, which is another reason why I'm so thrilled we were able to make this film, because a document of this kind, I think really she deserves.
Well said. I mean,
I have to check with my producer that everything's okay.
Everything's good. I mean, you alluded to it, but in light of recent news about Roberta and like how important is it to have her voice here on record, and just it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that you know you know what you were referring to is this recent announcement about ALS, and her voice is eternal, and it can't be silenced. You know, and to me, it's like this is also less about legacy, because I think legacy's in the past. And Roberta, when you're an artist of this caliber, at this level, I mean, elite, rarefied superstar level, your work is always about the present and the future. It's never about the past. So what I'm excited about is what my daughter is going to take this and her generation, and what they're going to do with Roberta's music as an inspiration and an influence to go even further. And that's the exciting part. And that's Roberta's message, you know. Roberta's not sad about this diagnosis, because Roberta always turned obstacles and opportunities to make things better for herself and make the world work better for everyone else. Because fundamentally, and I spent a lot of time with her, she believed so deeply in the beauty of her own dreams. And that's the voice. The dreams are the voice. You know, and that's what we're doing here together. You know, we come together as an audience, whether we're listening to music or watching this film, and then we leave united, you know, as, you know, participants in this experience that we've shared completely uniquely together.
This is my last one, and I can take two, so be prepared. What would you want people, Roberta was a teacher.
Yes.
What would you want people to take away from the film about her music?
Roberta was a genius. No, it was a joke within La Luta, because Buddy Williams was one of our favorite interviews, and he was just like always, like every time I asked him a question, he's like, look, bro, Roberta was a genius, and no one ever knew what to do with her. And so that every day I would call Mike and he would say, "What's up, Antonino? Roberta was a genius." And, you know, so, but what I would take is that she was completely, the courage of her convictions was so resolute and undaunted, man. Like, I've never experienced it before. Like, I mean, her vision she had a big vision of the world, but it was also singular in that no one would ever deter her. And that was a lesson every day to me. It's just like, you know, and that's what I would love the audience to take away, is that this person that we've experienced for the last hour and a half, she never, ever gave up, ever, in the face of segregation, constant racism and sexism, not being taken seriously as an artist, you know, that's what we talk about, for example, as the interpreter, but it never deterred her. And I wouldn't even say it even fueled her, because she didn't even care about that, because she had such strength of character herself that she, it's funny because she loves being a teacher. She never stopped being a teacher. That's, with Donnie and Luther and count, dozens of others. But that's the lesson that I experienced every day in making this movie, is that, she was as tough as you can imagine in the most beautiful way.
That's awesome. All right. Going to the crowd. Is there a couple hands out there? Give you opportunity here and then right behind you here. So yes, sir.
About 50 hours of things. And I could talk to you over, several hours of drinks over it. We did talk extensively about doing this as a series. Doing an episode on Donnie, an episode on Luther. I mean, there is so much. I mean, I can give you some things. When Jesse broke with Martin Luther King's organization, Roberta was one of the key people to fund him. And Jesse Jackson wouldn't really be where he was without her support, which is something that's really remarkable for us, because Jesse Jackson should have and could have been president, as we know, in the 1980s. And she was deeply involved in his presidential campaigns. And I'd like to share one anecdote that Barbara Streisand shared, was that at a fundraiser for Jesse Jackson, Joan, Suzanne, James, I think they can all attest to this, but Barbara Streisand said it was the best live performance of any song that she'd ever seen. And I think it was America the Beautiful or God Bless America. You guys remember? But it was one of those songs. But there are so many things like that are just like these beautiful, like, wow, this woman, like in the film, was everywhere. She was everywhere. She was on the front lines in supporting AIDS when it was, really, when Ronald Reagan was attacking people, gay folks, and, ignoring the AIDS crisis. Roberta was right there. She, of course, her work with children. I mean, there's so many things that kind of all flow through her music. We could have done a 6-hour series. If anybody's watching here, yes.
Sequel. Yeah, here. Yes, ma'am.
You can never own Roberta. No, but yes, we don't know. The film has a really long life. We know that there'll be an iTunes release that I think Graham is here from the film sales company who can give more details. It's launching the American Masters season in January 2023, January 24th. So yeah, give that a round of applause, of course. Amada put that deal together for us. So, see, she's really the person I rely on. Okay, but there'll be stuff available at some point. But yeah, okay. She found something.
Yeah, let's go with him right here. Yeah.
I know this. This is Louis. He's my little pal. Well, thank you, Louis, for my next subject.
Breaking.
Would you like to help me make it? Let's talk after the show. And do you have $1 million to help them make that movie? But thank you. Yeah, why not? That's Louis. That's our little. I love Louis.
The sir with the mask here. Yeah, I think it's our last one here. Just to repeat that, was the film primarily about her personal life, and it was intentional to focus on the music as you did in the film?
They were inseparable. I mean, she was so dedicated to her music. Of course, she had a personal life and and all that stuff. And we do touch upon, her early marriage, her first marriage, her marriage to Steve Novosel. But for me, as I got more and more into it, that was what was more interesting. Is that how? And also, what Roberta said to me. I was very fortunate because Roberta, she was involved in everything that she did. And she and her team gave me complete creative control on this project. And so, the intention I had behind it is sharing with the world how important it is to have this kind of artist out in the world, and that we need more of these kind of voices, as we can all see during this time. And I just became more and more drawn to Mike and I, and everyone that made the film. And I have to thank Karim, our editor. Karim Lopez is not here. He lives in L.A., so give him a round of applause, please. So that just became more of my focus. It's like, this is what I'm interested in, but this is also really what her personal life is. I mean, she just was completely dedicated to her craft. No, I think that Roberta, it wasn't sacrificial, you know. I mean, you know, you always kind of struggle or suffer a bit for your work, and that's impossible not to do. But, you know, the reward was her performance and this engagement with everyone, you know, the musicians that are here that she inspired, you know, with all of us that, you know, with me, you know, a 7-year-old kid, Italian kid from Philly, like loving her music, was seeing my mom dance and sing and cry to her music and then becoming part of my history. That's what, I think that she had a mission in a way in life that was almost subconscious, that's what she kind of gave up her life in that way. And I think we should be pretty happy that she did that.
I'd love to offer you the last word here tonight, or if I can't. I'm getting kicked out. I'm already getting kicked out. So
what was her reaction?
That's a good question. Let's get that.
Okay, I could leave. We were very fortunate that we were able to host a really private and beautiful screening for Roberta and her fabulous team, and she loved it. That's all I can say. She loved it.
That's awesome. Antonino, anything else? Is that you're good?
Thank you all.
Thank you all for being here. Round of applause. Antonino D'Ambrosio.